When reading a manga, one of the things that stands out the most is the artwork. You don't want your artwork to blend in with almost every other manga under the sun. You want your manga to stand out and have an extra punch to its artwork, whether that's creating an unconventional art style or having over-the-top character designs. So in this video, I want to go over what exactly makes art so great in the manga medium. One Piece is one of those rare manga that was actually made with love and care, and the artwork shows that best. Immediately, you're dropped right into this cartoony, beautiful world, and the reader is able to gather that information from the creatures who inhabit this world and how real people look. There's a level of polish with each and every character design here that you just aren't going to see in other manga. The world of One Piece can be extremely childish and goofy, and the art shows that best, often having over-the-top character designs, having 70-foot-tall monsters and talking fish people. One of the members of the main cast is a talking skeleton, another is a talking reindeer. The characters just accept this childlike, goofy world and go, yeah man, this is real life. One of the reasons the art of One Piece is the way it is to gain the ability to over-exaggerate the characters' facial expressions. I don't think many manga, if any at all, can portray emotion in the way that Oda does. Having each character be able to show how they feel, how the given situation affects them, what emotions are they feeling, and so much more with a single facial expression without any ounce of dialogue. Each island has a theme, and each island has nice little panels where you're able to just soak in everything about the island. The world building all has really small details that constantly add up, like something you'd see in Halo. With each and every panel in One Piece, it creates the ability to stand out from all other manga, and immediately you're able to tell what manga it's from upon looking at a single panel of One Piece, which you just don't get from a lot of slice of life manga that all have the same boring character designs that do nothing with the medium of art to make them stand out. I think one of my favorite examples from a slice of life manga having an instantly recognizable art style is Strongest Man Kurosawa. The mangaka Nobuyuki Fukumoto is able to make his characters instantly recognizable by having an unconventional art style. The main character Kurosawa, on paper, is just a construction worker in his 40s, but the art style Fukumoto uses is able to make him really stand out by giving him this fucking crimson chin jaw. I think all of Fukumoto's works does this to a lesser or greater extent. Both Akagi and KAIJI have these lemon-shaped heads and really sharp shapes to make up their face. Like One Piece, this is done in attempts to portray emotion much greater than a normal manga ever could, and I'd argue it's done much better in Fukumoto's various different manga than One Piece. Every time something doesn't go how KAIJI would expect it to go, in the manga KAIJI, it conveys how terrified he feels, having so much on the line and ultimately he could lose all of it. Having these really cool analogy moments where KAIJI compares his situation to other real-life events to perfectly describe how he feels. All of this is able to be achieved with the use of an unconventional art style. A lot of people say this manga looks ugly, but I think it looks beautiful. Sure, the marketability gets turned way down by having the manga look the way it does since it appeals to much smaller audiences, but the quality of the story goes way up by achieving this art style. You want your manga to stand out and not just blend in with every other painfully inoffensive series under the sun. You want it to stand out and have that extra bit of personality so many manga seem to lack. A double-edged sword with the same effect as the other two manga I listed is a manga that goes by the name of Hoseki no Kunai. The art is like nothing a reader would have ever seen before when reading, but to a new reader this can be very overwhelming. It can be extremely difficult to tell the difference between the large cast of characters present in this manga, and often, the reader is left trying to figure out who is who and who is talking. The addition of color really helps a new reader tell who is who, but a lot of that magic is just lost with the mangaka's use of light grays and a lot of white. Bleach does this in a similar way, but removes the confusing nature a lot of character designs in Hoseki no Kunai came with. The mangaka Taitai Kubo often removes the backgrounds in a lot of integral scenes to make you feel that edge, that oomph when a character says or does certain things. Bleach contains that normal shonen formula that we all know and love, but has a much edgier feel and atmosphere to it, which its art personifies. Kubo uses a lot, and I mean a lot of blacks when creating his character designs. His use of blacks and grays I feel like is just lost when swapping to the colored version of this manga. Bleach feels much more mature and edgier than your average shonen manga, and it really stands out when reading it, and the art helps personify that. Black Clover is a manga which does all of the things I've talked about. but I feel like it does it to just such a worse extent. Like Bleach, the mangaka uses a lot of blacks and grays to design the characters present, but it doesn't have that edgier punch to it. Having all of the main cast stand together, they all just blend in and don't really stand out, unlike Bleach's captains. One thing that the art in Black Clover does do pretty well though is removing the backgrounds like Bleach does. You can really feel the emotion in those scenes, but I feel like Bleach achieves this far better. Black Clover is not some forgettable garbage art that you'd see in so many manga, but as a successor to the big three, you'd really want the art just to do so much more. Out of every art style, a hyper-realistic art style is definitely the hardest to achieve, but when it's done correctly, it can seriously be some of the most beautiful art you've ever seen. Vagabond does this extremely well, and surpasses the reader's expectations for its art, replicating a lot of real-life facial hair by not just half-assing it, but creating little lines that build up creating said facial hair. When Musashi swings his sword, you can really feel that swing. Like Bleach, it often removes backgrounds to make you feel that extra oomph. The anatomy in this manga feels really human and almost like real life. Vagabond often panning back just to give you these really nice panels of the scenery and lets the reader just soak in everything. Another example, an arguably better example of hyper-realism is Berserk. Berserk's world is consumed by a lot of things you'd see in fantasy series, but having everything engulfed with a much darker edge to it. Having the main character Guts very much resemble a real-life human lets the reader immerse themselves in this world, and the reader is able to feel how alive this world truly is. Blending realistic characters with a ton of fantasy elements you'd see in fantasy novels creates an unforgettable experience and really lets Berserk stand out amongst all other fantasy manga. Often the manga is able to create genuine terror just by having insanely detailed creatures that the main character we've become so attached to has to face. At the end of the day, I wish manga art was appreciated much more. It's more than just that part of the manga which can make the scenes look cool. It shouldn't be appreciated or valued more than the actual quality of the story, but bad art can really bring down the experience.